Right there.
I forgot to add us to the stage. Hello. Good Sunday. It's Sunday, right?
Olive.
How are you guys doing? We're just Olive sitting in this chair in the corner here, being a crazy doggo this morning.
Well, here's a note.
We may have to end the stream early today. I'm not quite sure just yet, but I will let you guys know if we have to. Oopsie, oopsie. There we go. I'll let you guys know, obviously, if we have to. How have things been this week? How have things been going? It has been a good week for us this week. My friend has been with us most of the week, and it has been really beautiful working with her and seeing the positive changes that
Mm.
her words, she said she was in a death spiral, getting pulled out of that. And yeah, Melody and Kimberly, Colleen, Janet, middle of a forest. I like that. That's actually really cute. Hey, Betsy, Candace. Hello, hello, hello. Pierce County. How South Pierce County is for us. I know it's a bit down there. Anyways, it's been an awesome week. It's been kind of rainy. We have been not doing as much physical activity this week. Uh,
So just recover from being sick. We're
yes,
doing much better with that, actually.
this is TMI, but most of the green stuff is gone.
Hmm.
If for whatever reason it isn't next week, I already just broke down and said I'm going to go and get an antibiotic. As much as I hate to take an antibiotic, but it is a chronic sinus infection, and we're going to start the workout back on Monday. So I'm actually really excited about that. I have been terribly missing it, as well as the hiking. So, Mary, great week for me. Back on track, scale down, can reach body parts I couldn't before. That's okay.
No, that's
Th-
fantastic. That's a non-skill victory. Absolutely.
That is a huge non-scale victory because, as I say before, it got to point 360 pounds. I was probably 5 pounds from not being able to wipe my own bottom. Like I was getting there real fast. That
That
one.
might have been too. Yeah, I don't know.
I have TMI problems.
But she has a lot of non-skill victories about like tying her own shoes and like balance and
Not
just
when I didn't have to hold my breath
yeah,
to put
that's
my
it.
shoes on. And then, I mean, there's so many things. A big one for me was seatbelt, being able to use one hand for the seatbelt and click it because I didn't have all that mass in front of me. That was a huge one.
That's really important to keep track of non-skill victories.
I don't know if you guys can hear Olive. She's out there going crazy. Hi, Martin. Hi, Judy. Hi, Poppy. Poppy, that's a cute doggo you have in your picture. It's super cute. Anyway, so this week has been a really good week.
It's been nice having her here because it's just been good seeing somebody turn cheerful and be happy with themselves.
Yeah. We were talking about it, and it would be so expensive. And I don't know how we could ever make it less expensive. I would love to have like a house, not our house, but like have a house that people could come to for a week or two and kind of do, she called it a boot camp, just to get a solid foundation under their feet
Hmm.
of eating carnivore, ketovore, whatever they were
Get
doing.
them out of their environments, give them in some nice, good habits.
Hmm.
Sleep. We talked about sleep being a
Big,
good thing to
big.
have. Good circadian rhythm, very important.
Yeah. And the big thing too we've been incorporating, which I'm finding extremely helpful, is tiny habits with her and actually my other clients of how important they are, even if they have nothing to do with food. Like we were talking with her about moving, showering from the morning times always to the evening, just to take out that morning stress of now one sleeping better because you're clean, you've got all the pollen and everything off of you, so you're getting into a clean bed. But also then in the morning, it's not like, I have to get up and shower, fix
Mhm.
my hair, and get dressed. It's now I just have to do a quick hair fix, dressed, and then I can go about my day.
We talked about it pretty extensively yesterday because for a long time I always showered before bed and she didn't want to.
I was a before work shower
Mm.
for most of my life.
And then you take the shower in the evening, get all the dirt and grime of the day off. You go into a clean bed, you sleep, you get up, and then you just have to get prepped in the morning. Mostly that was because in the morning I want to get up most efficiently as I could to go to whatever job I had.
It is true. It takes a lot of time. Candace, we're still rainy in Battleground. I really wanted to get out and walk, so I hope to head over to the mall to walk. It's about a mile if you walk around both floors. Perfect. That's
Mhm.
actually really good, especially wintertime in Minnesota and places like that. It's a lot of snow, is going places to walk. Morning, Cordelia. Uh,
Taking.
taking you for a walk now. Perfect.
Does that count for us? Do we get a?
Do we get to count the steps? Right? We're going along for the walk, right? Mary, I'm eating the way that works for me. I like salad a day small, but it's what makes me feel good and moves the scale in the right
Okay.
way. I only eat 2 meals, no snacks. Yeah. I have found adding a few vegetables a few times a week has done really well. Um, I have noticed no joint pain or anything like that since I've been doing it. I don't know if that will change. I mean, I hope not, but finding what works because I love carnivore and
Mhm.
my goal is probably, if you watch my old videos, is eventually just switching to ketovore if I can tolerate it. I don't know if it'll continue that way, but it's been kind of a boon being able to have a little something like asparagus that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I like asparagus when I grill it, but I love carnivore so much. Like we've made asparagus. I'm like, no, you go ahead. You can enjoy that. I'll have more meat.
Scott does. He's a meat man. He does not care one way or the
The
other.
only thing that slows me down is the chew for me. So
I was about to say baby bird, but I'm just not going to go down that path. Y'all, our sense of humor is just not always quite appropriate. Poppy, thank you. She's a Yorkie. Just saw carnivore YouTube Ray say they are off all salt. She said it helps her sleep better, BP, and she said she's gotten rid of all her anxiety issues. What do you think? Um,
Off all salt. Your body needs salt. If you
it
don't have
does.
salt, you die.
Sodium is
Isn't what's a sodium
required.
potassium pump? Isn't that pretty much all
Yes,
your muscles?
sodium is required for the body to function. If you are exercising or sweating, all of that, and you are not ingesting salt at all, you can mess your body up. The way our heart functions and our muscles function so smooth, the heart is considered a smooth muscle is called a sodium potassium pump, and it trades the sodium potassium and causes some proton changes, which then blah blah blah.
Doing the muscles.
No, I strongly do not suggest do.
Maybe what they mean is they're off of all the processed food, which has got
No,
excesses of salt.
I've
Really?
seen
You
people,
seen
I
it?
don't know who they're talking about, but I've seen people say they've done no salt. And on a short-term
Oof.
basis, you can survive.
Yeah, no.
But even if you look historically, humans, like hunter-gatherer humans, would actually go and find salt to consume.
Sort of the whole, you know, what's the saying? Worth your salt, weight in salt.
Yeah, salt was actually a
Salt was used as
huge
hay in the Roman army.
because it was so necessary. But let's talk about the Roman army. They were very physical. So if you're a sedentary sitting on a couch, you probably can get away with it for a little while, but
Right.
you will mess yourself up.
I mean, before I met Amanda and had a good diet, I was a Marie Calendar Totino's Pizza guy, and I never salted anything. I didn't need to.
Only because you're eating a bunch of salt and
Yeah.
food.
Now I love the
Hmm.
taste of salt on my meat. I might salt it a little bit more, you know.
Yeah. As far as the blood pressure issue, there's actually been a lot of studies done that salt itself, unless you are a salt sensitive person, which is actually a very small portion of the population, the amount of salt has a very minimal impact on your blood pressure. What tends to happen is people have a lot of salt and a lot of carbohydrates. So their body retains a lot of fluid. That fluid pushes in on the blood vessels, which then raises the blood pressure up. So it's not directly salt, it's the salt with sugar and carbs that do it. So unless you are a salt sensitive person, it doesn't have a direct impact. It can have a, secondary impact if you're eating sugar and carbs. So that's Amanda's opinion. Take it, leave it, but I do not suggest stopping salt. Please don't. Amy, is it normal to have pain while losing weight? I'm pretty sure it's because my body is tightening up. What kind of pain and where? I would be able to answer that much better. Hey, have you felt any difference in your immune system function or on your skin health? Yes, and yes. I realized I have my rheumatology follow-up this week, and I haven't finished all the blood work.
No,
Uh,
need a prompt for that.
well, it's because last time, remember, they did both hands and they bruised them so bad I had to wait 2
Yeah,
weeks
that's right.
for them to go back to take my blood. Anywho, my autoimmune function is much, much better. They did do my CRP, my non-sensitive CRP.
Mhm.
It was 5. That is the lowest it's ever been. And
Awesome.
CRP is your C-reactive protein. It's just a marker of overall body inflammation. And that is lowest it's ever been for me. I have to finish. There was like 5 other tests that they just didn't have enough blood for. But yes, much better unless I have carbs or something I shouldn't have, like tomatoes. I can't do nightshades. I still can't do tomatoes. I know I don't eat potatoes anyways, but I can't do tomatoes. Those kinds of things. I'm still very and bell peppers. I can't do as much as I love them. Um, I notice a lot of pain come back with that. As far as my skin health, yes. All I have left on my cheeks now is the damage from the rosacea. It was getting worse month by month, but my rosacea was causing a lot of blood vessel. You can't really see it here, but if you see it in some of my other pictures, it's slightly red, and it's because the blood vessels broke, and that's what rosacea does. Is it damages the blood vessels, and they burst, and the laser treatments are the only ways to fix that. My hydronitis suppurativa, the HS, is much better.
Mm.
Like, for those of you that don't know, it's an autoimmune issue that causes boils. Tends to be the armpit, under the breasts, in the groin, thighs area. Extremely painful, and I would have a few all the time. Um, so that's been much, 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 much better. Oops. It is what I like about ketovore carnivore is that your body tells you quickly if you eat something you don't like.
Yeah.
Yes, I know very quickly. As much as I would love onions and bell peppers with some beef, that I would have to limit to no more than once a month, and even then, I know I'm trading for some not feeling good. Debbie, you've been such an inspiration for me. I started carnivore a couple months ago. My weight didn't budge as I was following Dr. Bray's advice. I have Hashi, so weight loss is never easy. It is very difficult for anybody. I mean, but with Hashis, it can be much harder. I'm curious, Debbie, if you started tracking what you're eating, and if you have started, and would you mind sharing that with us? And if not, if you would consider tracking just to see what you're getting in and share it with us next week. Hey, Scott. This is my Scott. Dr. TV says he does know salt for years now. I'm confused. I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, you're going to get some salt in the meat no matter what because
Right.
of the sodium potassium pump in there. But I don't. I'm going to shut my mouth on
Yeah,
that
we'll
one.
let him clarify that.
I mean, if you go out to restaurants, you're going to get salt and things
Yeah.
like that. So if you
They
eat
just
out,
naturally salt their foods.
yeah.
There's lots of stuff. Anything processed or preserved in the grocery store anyway is going to have lots of salt in
Yeah.
it.
There's one influencer that doesn't add salt to the meat, but does use unflavored element. So,
Yeah.
as I said, it's going to be.
You need it in some way if you're going to be active in anyways. Okay. Move on.
Yeah, because I do not want to stick my foot and make someone all PO'd that I was
We don't want to make somebody
saying,
wrong. You didn't have to have salt. That's how much really depends on your activity in your body.
yes, 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 yes. FYI, all the Kool-Aid kids are smashing the like button these days. That's cute.
Thank you.
I just got this image of like him bursting through the wall, the Kool-Aid man.
Smash that button.
Yeah. Any doctor or influencer recommends lowering and limiting sodium salt should be ignored with extreme prejudice. Your salt should be increasing, especially if you do physical activity. Yes. With low carb, we tend to, or low no carb, we tend to let go of salt much easier. So what happens is when you are moving around, you're literally sweating out sodium. If you've ever, like, this sounds gross, but if you ever licked your own salt, licked your own sweat, it's very
It's salty.
salty. It's
Yes.
very salty. And as I said, even your
That
potassium,
tastes good working out.
getting off balance.
I'm terrible.
Your potassium getting off balance can actually cause stroke-like symptoms. Our body lives in a very narrow range. Now, we do recycle a lot of sodium, except when you're sweating. So it's a big thing to make sure you have it.
This came to my mind. I just had to bring this up. In a forest, the name. If a tree falls in the forest, your husband's still wrong. Oh, and then no one's around to hear it. Your husband's still wrong. I'm sorry. I did that with the I Taste Good salt.
He's on some dad jokes this past while.
I did some terrible ones yesterday.
Mary, having Charlie horse once in a while. I do 1 element a day. Should I try to? Any suggestions? You can try to eat easy peasy, switch it up to 2. I would suggest you may need a bit more bump in potassium. I get the extra potassium through my multivitamin. You can do just straight up potassium supplements. Yeah. If you're salting your food quite a bit and you're doing element, it most likely is potassium. However, you could do just a quick trial for a week, do an extra element. If it solves a problem, boom, there you go. Love the pork rind haul from Costco. Are they lime flavored kind? They are the chili lime.
Yes.
And it's because I sent like 8 different emails asking Costco, because you can ask Costco to carry things, by the way. I sent like 8 different emails like, hey, chili pork, lime chili pork rinds, lime chili pork rinds, please, lime chili pork rinds. Because they had them last year, but we ran out. We bought like 10 bags. Yeah. So we bought 18.
About 18 this time. And I felt bad because we told our friend Sherry, and by the time she got to Costco, apparently what I had done started a rave for them, and they cleared out before she got there, like 2 hours later.
So, but because here's the thing, Whole Foods sells, I don't know the ounce, but sells a small bag for like $5. Okay, there's 3 servings in that one bag.
Like 2 ounces.
I don't.
The bag at Costco is 6.8 or something. So
it's over.
And it's like $6.50.
And it's 3 times the amount for like $1.50 more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge difference.
And they're
and I love using them for like breading on Salisbury steaks or on the chicken cordon bleu, doing that. There's a nice crust on that. They're very nice, and dipping with whatever if you want. Yeah. For a snack.
Candace, years back, I was on a low sodium, and my doctor said to take sodium tablets. I asked her, can't I just add more salt to my food? She said, oh, yes, you could do that. Doctor went 2 pills first, even for salt. Wow. The sodium tablets are usually for people who are really messed up and they need a quick dose. I don't take everything any doctor and literature says 100% all the time. I pick and choose. Yeah, it's
good. That's what we actually said in the video. Like, watch what works for you. Use what is best. Ignore the rest.
Yeah, and because not everybody's always going to be right, and we learn and change our opinions and things like that. But that's actually something that I just absolutely hate. We watched the movie Idiocracy last night. I've never seen it before. That's actually something I absolutely hate is the fear-mongering that goes on of like, "Don't do this, you'll die," or "Don't do this," and then they sell you the solution. 'Cause it's a fear-mongering, it's like, "Oh my gosh, I need to click on this, I need to watch this, what's going on?" And it causes a lot of confusion for people. There was an article, my friend here, it's some naturopath, I don't remember his name, put out how low-carb diets were bad over time. And so she read it, and I was like, well, it was true for a very, very, very tiny amount of the population. Doing a low-carb diet for people who are doing extreme sports and things like that, it can be detrimental because they do need a massive amount more of glucose that their liver has to make. So we're talking about soccer players, football players, like someone that is highly
athletes.
Yeah. Doing low carb can be very detrimental to them because they need the quick energy. But this article laid it out as it's bad for everybody. Like if you do low carb, it's going to be detrimental. And it's like, you're talking about a very tiny amount of the population, but you're acting like it applies to everybody. And that's my new soapbox. I just get really, really frustrated with the fear mongering that goes on.
That's actually kind of why she did a video 2 weeks ago, like it's time carnivores should be talking about this, and they're not. And it's really like you can overeat on a carnivore. You can have too much calories if you're not moving too much. And bottom line is that you need to figure out what works for you. Carnivore is a great diet as far as like health and what you can do to maintain a healthy weight.
Mhm.
But if you're not losing weight, track what you're eating, see what's going on. And if you're losing weight, don't worry about it. It's just
I saw a cool, reel on Instagram. I have to see if he has an actual video, a YouTube video, and he was talking about calories versus insulin resistance, and that you have both camps that people are like, "Calories don't matter," and then you have the people that are, "Calories are the only thing that matters." And it was actually really interesting that he was saying, they both actually matter to some degree,
right.
um, and I'll have to see if I can find it. If I can, I will put it in the description below if I can find it, because it was a very interesting, a little reel that he was talking about it, and just very thought-provoking.
It's just every person has to find the right balance for them because some people are far more active than others. You have different body
Yeah.
types, different genetics.
And something that I've also learned recently is it's called NEAT. It's like non-exercise activity that we do during the day. Things like if you tend to get up and pace when you're on the phone, or if you're one of those people that like fidget their foot, or you just happen to do these small little activities throughout the day more, those people tend to be thinner than people who are more overweight. Yeah, Scott is it's those small activities all during the day that what happens over time as we gain weight or we get sick, we don't even realize we're just slowly doing less. Like we're getting one less cup of coffee or getting one less cup of water. And then next thing we know, we're hardly moving at all. These have big impacts over time on our body. So people who are more sedentary, that literally live on the couch and things like that, you can easily overeat and not lose weight if you are not moving much.
Yep.
Amy said it was pain in the thighs, side of stomach, back, near butt. I can feel muscles tightening. It's a little painful, but losing weight. Um, I would try doing a second thing of element.
Yeah.
And then after that, I would try upping your potassium and magnesium. Honestly, I would suggest just chucking a high quality multivitamin in there. Um, to me, the side of the thighs, this could be a lot of different things, but, in the thighs, if it's like the medial or lateral side, if you're moving more, like if you've gone from being kind of sedentary to more active, you can be having an impact that way. Back near butt sounds like it could be lumbar/sacral pain or sciatic pain. Um, if you want to be a bit more specific, yes.
So I want to share that I've been doing desk work and computer games, whatever, for a long time, 2 decades, maybe more. Uh, when I switched to carnivore, I was feeling like, especially my hips, my hip flexors, is like it just hurt to sit down anymore. It hurt to move a little bit because my just standard neat movement was
Mhm.
running around a lot, and I just needed to up my element intake, salt my meat a little bit more, make sure I have my multivitamin because it was just those fundamental things that I was getting in Marie Callender pot pies and overdose.
We actually did, it's an old
It's one
video.
of the first videos
It
we
was
did.
like Wendy's burger or meal versus a ribeye that you got. It was like 3,000%
Percent of your potassium,
of your potassium in that one meal.
one meal.
It's crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
I'm cutting back on salt because I was getting a little too salt happy. I'm fine with less salt. I have fewer leg cramps at night.
Okay.
And the less active we are, the less we need. And maybe one day you're super active and you need a lot, and the next you don't. It's not like a blanket, whatever you need 2,000 milligrams a day. I can't remember what their recommendation is for it, but it's going to change every day what we need. What are your thoughts about how reference ranges are used by medical professionals with little regard to the individual, e.g., BMI, organ size? As a reference, I'm pretty tall, 6'5". They use them as ease. They use them as a ballpark, but that can be a really big ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, you know why they do it is because 99% of doctors are part of medical groups, and they have procedures put in place of this. These are the rules you follow. So what doctors do is these are the rules they follow, and they don't diverge from them because their contract says they can't, not making this okay. And so they just kind of, and then also, I know this is on both sides of it. A lot of doctors go into like family medicine and stuff, and they really want to help people. And then years go by, and they're trying to help people and encourage them with whatever knowledge they have, and things don't work out, and then they become bitter because they're trying to help people, and it's just like banging their head against a wall repeatedly. So then they become bitter, and then the people they could help, they don't, and they just like think everybody's going to fail. Like this is not making an excuse. It's just they slowly get beaten down. And
Well, it's like when you tell somebody do this to get healthy and they don't do it, then how many times do you keep telling them to do that? Let me give you an example. Her doctor, when she first went to him, said, I'm going to do carnivore and I'm going to get healthy this way. And he's like, I don't know. He didn't really believe in carnivore, but would you at least take a multivitamin for me to make sure that you're getting the nutrients you need? And so she did that. And then she came back, what, 4 months later? And lost like 40, 50 pounds. And it instantly turned him into a believer because he saw she was doing actions for her health that were bettering, and he didn't have to goad her, prod her, like, why aren't you taking your pills? Why aren't you doing this? None of that.
he actually asked me how he could approach his other overweight patients to have a conversation with them to try to get them to think about losing weight too.
So I think that the medical profession over time, they get frustrated when people by their habits don't actually improve their lifestyle. It's like a man was, she's PTA for a long time. You give them a health plan. This is how you need to do your exercises so you can move more, because if you move more, you will live longer.
And
it's just proven.
I when I say this with the doctors, I know because I experienced it myself.
Yeah.
Going and trying to help people and giving my all, giving my best, and then they like didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They didn't do their exercises. They didn't, and they're like, I don't know why it's not getting better. It's like, because you haven't been doing what you were supposed to do. And then they would just get mad and quit. So at one point in time, I'll be fully honest, I just became quite bitter. And I'm like, I just, it's part of what drove me out of doing it. Because my favorite patients are like stroke neuro patients, because they tend to be the best, most appreciative patients ever. Like going from not being able to walk to learning to walk again, like they are the best patients.
You can always tell if a man had a good day or a bad day based upon, how she was able to help somebody that they were helping themselves.
Scott said, my German Shepherd love when I come home from the gym. They try to give you kisses, but it's for sweat. Yes. Every time like we come back, we played tennis. Sadie is like licking my neck. I'm like, I'm just your salt block, aren't I? Amy, I heard good things about 72-hour fast. How safe are they? And does that depend on the person? I am not a big fasting person. When we're talking solely about weight loss, fasting achieves the same thing as having over a month as having a average daily deficit. Now, some people do beautifully with fast. Go ahead and do it. I do not, because it puts me in the position where I'm having to constantly like resist wanting to eat, not necessarily physiologically, but mentally, because it's like it's brekkie time. I'm not eating breakfast. And I find that I perseverate about food a lot more, which is not what I want. I don't want to think about food. So I'm not a fan of fasting. However, I think it's one of those things, try it, see how you do. Maybe you're great with it, maybe you're not, and then go from there to see how you feel with it. I'm also not a fan of fasting because I think a lot of people use it to, it's what I call a get thin quick scheme. They do it because they want to lose weight faster, but how many times have we done that and fall on our face because we didn't get fat quick? We never did a get fat quick scheme. And the get rich quick schemes always backfire. Cynthia, I live in the desert southwest. I roll my eyes when someone says you don't need water during a fast. I will admit, if you're up north, cool weather, you likely could do that, not here for long. There's too many variables because some people work out when they do a fast, and you definitely need salt and water if you're fasting and working out. If you don't, you're like a lump on a log. Okay, you might be able to get with it. Janet, I did try those chili lime pork rinds. Did not like them given away. They're very Mexican-y, but Scott and I love Mexican food.
Well, we always have them with something. We don't see them.
Yes, I should clarify. I don't eat them just straight up plain. I've never eaten pork rinds straight up plain. I eat them with like I'll make taco meat and put the taco meat in there and eat them that way. Or if I make queso for Scott, I'll crush them up and put them on things. I don't eat pork rinds plain.
I love using them to dip for chili con queso.
Yeah. Okay. What's the email you use for Costco? Okay, so I just typed into Google. Let me remember this. I typed into Google. Boy, I'm having Costco.
We'll put it in the description.
I'll find it, Mary. It's not. I didn't email from my personal email. What it is you go in and you leave a comment, and there's a drop down that says food product. Yeah, food product, and then you just put in there what you want. But they probably order 1 to 2 months ahead, and that's why I kept emailing them because I wanted them to understand, "I wanted those chili pork rinds back." Idiocracy was not supposed to be an owner's manual. If you guys haven't watched Idiocracy, it's actually it has a lot of cursing because here's the funny thing.
The ironic, go ahead, tell the
We
ironic
sat
part. That was
down.
just hilarious.
We sat down, and I'm like, it's an older movie. It probably doesn't have a ton of cursing. I swear to goodness, every other word was a curse word. You can look past it. The story is kind of sad and funny.
Yeah. Well, we discussed it, like, if the people don't have a good vocabulary or way to express themselves well, they'll just curse more. So it makes total sense. They just curse through the whole movie.
But it was just funny because I'm like, it's an older movie. They probably, because newer movies, they curse all the time in shows all the
I
time.
can't believe they added cursing to Star Trek. What's it, the Orville or something, or the new Star Trek? They're like cursing and like, what are you talking about? That never happened in Star Trek.
Yeah. Unfortunately, many in our society think that movie is a way to live. What's that movie, WALL-E? That actually, I feel like WALL-E is, if things don't change, WALL-E is our future. Serious question. Macros from online calculator, keto cows, fat, protein, carne cows, 15 fat, protein, both 0 carbs. What should I do? I don't get it. Okay, so don't do the 1,046. That is an extreme deficit, and you are going to suffer terribly from that. My opinion with the protein amount is you're going to do 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight of protein. You're going to do 0 carbs, or I do 10 because let's be honest, eggs have like 0.7 carbs in them, and I do a little bit of dairy, so I do 10 or less a day. And then the rest is going to go into the fat amount. Mine is 135.
Something like that.
135 protein, 140 grams fat, and 10 grams carbs. And that puts me at 1,600 calories. You want to here's the method finding your base metabolic rate, your height, your weight, things like that. I suggest no more than 500 calories of a deficit a day. It gets really hard when you start doing the extreme amount of 1,000 like that, because you're just hardly eating anything. So if you're going to use one, I'd use the carne calculator over the keto one wholeheartedly, because that's more protein, more fat. So I'd use the second one if you're going to do anything. We used what was her name? Marie Emmerich's, because that was what my friend here, she had used it before her calculator. I don't know just don't take this wrong, y'all. Please, I'm not saying nothing bad about nobody. Her calculator said she needed to have 300 grams of protein a day for her weight and height. And I can't remember how much fat it was on. It was 2,600 calories a day. And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. Ben Bickman, I think that may have been who it was Ben Bickman, the reel about the insulin and calories. I think that may have been who it is. I'll have to find it. It was super interesting just him talking about how both camps kind of ignore the fact that both actually have a huge impact on us. That calories aren't the only thing that matters, because if you are skinny and not insulin resistant, your body's going to treat things slightly different than if you are overweight, insulin resistant, with the amount of energy and how fast and quickly it stores things. Fluff, so happy you're better, Debbie. It's Debbie.
Thank you.
When your hip flexors hurt from prolonged sitting, you may need to do some psoas stretch along with hip opening exercises. Yes.
That's one of the big things she's been kind of teaching me about stretching.
The best one, y'all, especially women, is a modified piriformis stretch. It's the best. It's best if you can get on the ground, or if you did it on the bed. That one, if you have any lumbar pain, sciatic pain, like through the glutes and the butt, that one I absolutely love. Just think about how many people can be helped by us showing our doctors that we can succeed improving our health. Yes. Yeah. And that's what they need. They need what is it? The proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the meat. They just need to see that it actually works. Because how many times do you think people told them, yeah, I'm going to do X diet, and then they come back and they weigh nothing less or more? It's really easy to get bitter, to be told repeatedly something's going to change and it doesn't. Been carnivore for over a year, lost around 60 pounds, need to lose another 15, but I'm always learning and will experiment with my sodium intake and see if it helps my sleep as you two. Yeah. Try, I mean, everybody's going to be different. I was Googling the difference between Aleve and Advil because one's naproxen and then one of them is ibuprofen. And so I was like looking at the mechanism of difference. They don't actually understand why they work differently, but some people do beautiful with Aleve, some people do beautiful with Advil. And sometimes there just doesn't have to be an explanation that we're really understanding. They just do well. Doctors are all taught for us to move more, eat less, nothing about carbs. Yeah, because the move more, eat less, overarching does work. However, it doesn't address anything about why we overeat, the physiological demand to overeat, the chemicals that are in our food. Like it's too simplistic that it just doesn't work at all.
What's that saying? You can't out exercise a bad diet.
And you can't, because you can sit down and eat in carbs and cookies. You can eat 10,000 calories in one setting. If you were running your heart off from a lion for 24 hours, you could never burn 10,000 calories. And that's what they mean, is you can never out exercise a bad diet. And that's sadly what I think they kind of mean by eat less, move more, is go exercise. But most of the time, exercise actually makes you want to eat more. It's a double-edged sword.
If you eat too little, you don't have energy for doing anything.
Yeah. I do 48 about once every 2 weeks. It makes me feel empowered. Some people do beautifully with fasting. For me, I'm just not a fan of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you do beautifully with it, do it. I have no, awesome. Like, that's all I gotta say. It's awesome. Super Strike Force. Hi, Jaco here. Sorry. Having a hard time reading. Day 202 of carnivore. I don't use a scale, but I'm down from 5x to 2x. Nice. Also, 4
Fantastic.
pant sizes.
All right.
Keep your highest weight shirt and pants if you haven't. I still have mine, and every once in a while I put them on just to see where I was at.
It'll help you remember. I was telling Amanda this morning, I was like, listen, you need to not think about what you haven't lost, like what you haven't done, but what you have. And for her, like, she's consistently kept over 100 pounds off, which is better than any other diet she's done for 20 years.
Yeah. This whole protein thing is so debated. My base metabolic rate is 3,200. My fat percentage is 30, so I have about 200 pounds of lean mass. Ideal weight about 200 grams per is a lot of meat every day. When you start being on the outside of things, like you are super short or super tall, it doesn't work so well for you. You are on the outside of the curve of average. So that is not a great way for you. What I would suggest is having a DEXA scan would be the best option, because then you would see exactly, because right now those numbers I'm assuming are just a calculator based. Of what your lean mass is getting an exact amount of lean mass. If you are working out, Scott, I would honestly start at 150. Start at 150 grams. I know that still seems like a lot, but men, one, are going to eat more than females for protein. And if you're working out and exercising, that's probably a really good metric. That's where I would start at. And then if you're not putting on muscle as fast, or if you're just not feeling as great, I would slightly up it from there and go from that point.
Maybe change your breakfast. I have 4 bacon and eggs, and even though that's filling, it's actually not a lot of protein. So what we've been talking about is me adding a shake for my protein, because I need that, because I'm working out. I definitely need
the
more
Equip
protein.
beef isolate shake.
Or I could start having, like, a little bit of hamburger with, instead of bacon and eggs, because that's a much higher protein count.
Slightly leaner meats, you can get it in 15 wings from Buffalo Wild Wings, no sauce like the naked ones, is about 150 grams of protein. Not that I'm a huge chicken fan other than chicken wings, but it's not as hard if you aim for adding some leaner meats in through the day, versus, like, I love ribeye, don't get me wrong, but it is much harder to hit my energy intake and not go over it and get enough protein when I'm having high fat meats every single day. Lindsay, Amanda, have you suffered from hair loss with this diet? Another carnivore, Jenny Mitch, has, and thought it was because of sudden change in your diet. I'm a bit worried about it. So with any weight loss, not just carnivore, hair loss is a thing. Why? Because what happens is your body starts dropping weight. Our hair is the least important organ on our body. Well, it's not even really an organ, but you know what I mean. It's very unimportant. So our body won't send proteins and things there. It sends the nutrients to our organs. What happens is the not the follicle, but the hairs themselves die off and fall out. The good news is it does come back.
Yeah.
It is not a permanent hair loss kind of thing because I lost a lot of hair. I lost a lot of hair before carnivore because my body was like falling apart internally. Like I was probably months from my body like just shutting down. My body was falling apart. And then when I started carnivore, because of the massive amounts of weight loss, you'll go through like as you do like weight loss phase and then maintenance phases. You'll notice in the maintenance phase it'll start to grow back, and then weight loss and maintenance. Once you get to the point where you're kind of where you should be at, you'll notice your hair growing back. It's just slow, right? Like this is years of hair growth to get it this long. We just don't see the tiny little pieces growing back.
This is years of hair loss. It's short. I've been working on this for like 30 years. You can see the back. It's really like an accomplishment.
Yeah. So Lindsay, what you can do with that too is don't do drastic. Okay. If you do something like super drastic where you're really cutting your intake, that is where you're going to really experience it. But as if you can kind of wean into it, you might lose some, but it won't be super duper drastic. Now, if you weigh like 300 or 400 pounds, it's almost inevitable because it takes so much energy to keep that amount of weight on us that you might experience some, but it's okay. I promise it will come back. It will come back. And having thin hair means nothing when you can go and hike and bike and walk and go to festivals and experience life. All right. So what is the right model, especially for a jacked up metabolism, fatty liver, etc.? Okay. So DEXA scan, best option.
Yeah.
I would say for a female just starting, like if you are super tall, I would use a different model than super short. I would say at least for a male, start at 125 if you are tall, and then taper up from there depending on how you feel. Fatty liver, having the no carbs, no sugar, that is what's going to relieve the liver of its burden of constantly having to change the carbs and sugars into triglycerides and things like that. So the fatty liver will just absolutely resolve itself with time.
You were phase 2-ish?
I was almost phase 2 fatty liver. My fatty liver is gone. Even though I still have some weight to lose, my fatty liver reversed with it.
Yeah.
It's going to be different if you're like stage 3 or 4, because then you're talking about cirrhosis and stuff like that. Because I had non-alcoholic fatty liver. But even then, you can still repair it to some degree. Because stage 2 is when you start to have scarring. 3 is like a moderate amount, and like 4 is you pretty much are looking at a transplant. Well, you're looking at a transplant at that point. So anyways, find your base metabolic rate. Figure out your activity level. Take 500 calories off from that. So you said yours was 3,200. Subtract 500, which is 27, because I can't, my math is slow. Start 2,700 calories, get in, aim for 150 grams of protein, then I'd say 10 carbs if you're doing dairy, whatever it is, and then add whatever else in for fat. I don't have my phone. I use Chronometer, and you can set your actual, it's upstairs. Oh, you have it. You can set your actual, here. Well, here. Second. You can set it manually. No, thank you.
Dog hair on it?
Yeah,
You have dog hair everywhere.
Where's the camera? There, you can do fixed. Yeah, fixed values. I think I did Scott's already. And what you do is you pop in your protein, you pop in your carbs, and then underneath my finger, it'll tell you how many calories that equates to, and then you can up it from there to make sure you're getting your 2,700 via fat. It's going to be quite a bit for like a 2,700 calories. You're going to get quite a bit. You'll do fine, probably ribeyes every day. And I would suggest every 20 pounds reassessing that and slightly decreasing your intake from there. Love Wall-E. I do love that movie. It's sad because I do think that's exactly where we're heading. This one?
Yeah. So I wanted to respond to that. So since I've been working out, we've been doing barbell good mornings like 2 to 3 times a week, which has been great for my hips and hamstrings. Just putting that little weight on there and then leaning back, it's been fantastic. So if you are weightlifting at all? That's a great way to stretch your legs and your hamstrings.
Renaissance periodization. Love him. He's a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder, but I love his stuff. I think his like shirts say team full ROM, which means range of motion. That I've learned a lot from him about the bodybuilding, that when you go through motions, you want to go through the full range of motion, which I knew that, but why? Because what happens is when you engage the stretch receptors in the exercise, it actually promotes more muscle growth. That I did not know. Because, like, give me a broken leg or hip replacement, knee replacement on that end, I'm good. Ask me about bodybuilding, that is not in the PT world, at least for me.
I also like the guy because he helped with my mindset. I have been low testosterone all of my life until I went to carnivore. I was in the 230s, and now I'm in the mid 600s.
Yeah.
And I, but hired a trainer, did working out for like 3 months, and just never really grew any muscle mass. Never really did better. I was still eating crap at that time, and now I'm more motivated to work out. But he also helped me with my mindset. Is that I get to work out. I would much rather be working out in my 50s, building muscle and being healthy, than trying to catch up in my 70s or my 80s.
Yeah.
So it is a privilege to work out now, and I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to get a better habit about doing it every day.
Yeah. Cat, move more, eat less only works for a while. Then your body gets used to it and you have to eat less. Just, yeah, that is the problem. And this is why if we're doing weight loss, we should not do weight loss like this. It should be 12-ish weeks of what they call a cut, and then do maintenance for about 2/3 the time you did the weight loss, and then a cut. Because what happens is if you do like this, your metabolism slows down, and then you start slowing down. And the next thing you know, you're hardly moving because you just didn't realize over the past 8 months you've done less. Mm-hmm. And it kills your metabolism because it decreases the thermogenics in the body, because your body doesn't like losing weight. It wants to keep that fat for a rainy day. And so doing a cut and then a maintenance, then a cut and a maintenance, it'll help prevent that from happening, of just getting stuck, where if you cut calories, eventually you're not going to eat anything. Like, I mean, if you just keep cutting 250 calories every time you get stuck, that's a lot if you just,
Think of it this way. There's seasons. Always there's a lean in wintertime. Your body is always knowing, I need more calories when it gets cold. I need more energy. So it is always going to try to store some energy for that rainy day, because you experience it every year. Every person across the planet experiences that.
It's a safety mechanism that
It is a
is
safety mechanism
in our DNA to store energy.
Yeah.
Especially that's why females store more energy, because we cannot have children if we have low body fat. It's just impossible.
You need to provide for the baby too.
Yeah.
So it's just
that's why the mechanism's there, and that's why women actually have more fat stores than men, especially around the hips and stuff, is to have that emergency reserve for the child. All right, so 150 it is. I eat 6 eggs, 4 pieces of bacon, and 4-ounce burger for breakfast.
Okay.
You're going to do beautifully.
Yeah.
Sometimes colorful language associated with high functioning Asperger's or other issues, just FYI. True, but right. If you look at the mass amount of population, there are people who have Asperger's. It's the not the norm.
Yeah.
Right.
When we talk about language and not being able to express yourself, that's something without Asperger's. It's just, you have to learn to.
That's the exception, not the rule, right. Is the people with. I'm 5 foot tall. I eat 130 to 150 grams protein nearly every day. I also build muscle as a teenager by skiing, cycling, plateauing. I miss the 70s. Yeah.
Very active.
Yeah, and that's why I said if he starts at 150 and goes up, that's the thing, is figuring out what works, because they don't actually have. I was watching a really interesting video with Dr. Mike and this exercise researcher, that they don't actually have a way to know exactly person by person when is enough and what is enough but not too much for each person. There's just no test out there. So it really is honestly guesstimation and based on how each individual feels. Candace, I'm so glad you're talking about checking energy intake. At 68, I can't eat massive amounts. Some people recommend I either get too full or gain weight. It's just going to, it's going to vary. It really is. Activity level, more than anything, is going to make a difference, because this is, I was thinking really hard about menopause, like post-menopause, pre-menopause. There are definitely some hormonal changes that happen post-menopause, but I would be very curious to know if you took the same person a few years before menopause and could like calculate their average energy expenditure and then 3 years after menopause and see the change. I guarantee you would see a drastic change over the averages of pre and post. Because hormones, right? They're just like, slow down. You can slow down. You don't have to do so much. Those kinds of things that would impact it. Just a tip from me, a simplified carnivore, just buy sirloin steaks, bulk for the month, eat that every day. I take what I eat at night and pan fry and tallow. If you're that person that can do simple, do it.
Yeah.
Bacon and eggs every morning, or I've been adding like ground beef and stuff instead too. It does. We have bacon and eggs adjacent to that every day. It makes it like you don't even have to question what you're having for breakfast.
Nice and easy.
Hi, D. I looked and my BMR says 1116, then little no exercise 1339. So do I do protein and fat, make it 1339? I weigh 136, 68, 5'3". I looked at my BMR. So do I do protein fat to make 1339? Okay, so you're going to be in the category of 5'3". You probably, I would say, Eileen, cut 2,500 calories, or sorry, 250 calories.
2,500. Go negative. Give energy back to the environment.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's going to be a trade-off where you get the 250 from. I would not suggest cutting it all from what you're eating. It would be moving around more just by walking around. And I'm not even saying like you got to go walk a mile or things like that. Just getting more water cups a day.
Yeah, get a smaller water cup and go get a little bit more water more often.
It is very hard to just because I mean, at 136 pounds, you're getting pretty dang close to your ideal weight where you're at. It gets harder when you just focus on just cutting what you're eating. So make a trade-off, and you kind of have to figure out like maybe I can walk, a quarter mile twice a day and do a little bit of like dishes and other things throughout the day to help increase it. Maybe that covers 150 of it. And then you only have to cut 100 from what you're eating. And it's going to be a balanced equation that you have to figure out that's going to work specifically for you. The natural tendency is to keep fat on is a good thing to think about. Stalls are so frustrating, but budgeting for them can make it easier to cope with them. Yeah, and we should look at stalls as not necessarily a bad thing. The body is trying to readjust to where it's at. And hopefully, too, your body is not getting stuck in this, like, I have to cut energy and cut energy and cut energy. The stalls, really, we should view them as a maintenance period. I really think so. Oh, did you touch that purposely?
Oh, it's touchscreen. Oh, I forgot.
My laptop is.
Her laptop is
95 watching, but only 22 likes. We can do
Thank you, Scott.
better. How important is it to eat as many grams of protein as you want to weigh? Example, 150 grams. Having a hard time eating that much each day with 2 meals. It is more important to get, how do I say this? It's not like I have to hit 150 grams of protein. The goal is 150. Although, Poppy, you may not need 150 grams. I aim for like 135. I usually hit 120 to 130. Some days it's 100 grams. Some days it's like 160 if I have chicken wings. The average is what's important. Like you're trying to average around that. It is harder when you're eating super fatty meats like ribeye or short ribs and things like that because it is more fat to protein in those. But protein is fundamental for muscle growth, for functioning, for amino acids, for so much in the body. So I wouldn't like perseverate and stress about it, but try doing things like adding ground beef, like doing 4 ounces of ground beef in the morning versus bacon. It doubled the amount of protein I have with my breakfast now. Like something so simple. It's not that much. So do trade off things like that for high fat, for higher protein stuff. It's not that you can't have a ribeye, I just wouldn't suggest it every single day, And like I like using the protein shake, the Equip beef isolate. It does have some stevia, but I will tell you, it's just very, very hint of sweetness, which I appreciate because I would not want it super sweet. You are very pleasant. UK sites are very rule focused and bossy.
Okay.
you haven't met me in person, Scott would say I'm bossy.
No, she's not.
Hello. Starting out with a big raw big eye tuna. Fun times in Chesapeake Bay.
Nice.
Can't wait to have some chuck roast on sale. I finally got some wasatch.
Oh yes. You know, like
you can put it on anything. Scott puts it on steaks. He puts it on flanken ribs.
flanken ribs.
Pretty much anything beef. I don't know if we've tried it in burger patties. I wonder what that would be like.
We have not tried a burger patties.
That's the only thing we haven't tried it on, but any kind of steak, any kind of flanken ribs.
I love wasatch. It's a great.
I said wasatch, and I wasatch. It is my
I love
favorite.
the seafood.
It is best. Do you follow Coach Steven? His page is good. Coach Steven, he's the one that's a bit more stricty, right? Am I remembering wrong? I don't know. I put it on steak. It's so good.
It's so good. I put it on roast, like just chuck roast. Liberally throw it in there.
Wonder what it would taste like on chicken. We never did that. Oops. I completely agree with Amanda on hitting average. I tend to do OMAD on work days, sometimes fall short of protein, so I try to do 2 MAD on days off. Yeah. It takes the stress away with, like, you're looking at your macros, you're like, oh God, I gotta have, I gotta get that in. I more use them as a guidepost, like, okay, I've only had 70, so I really should aim to have a bit more or have a higher protein dinner. That's all I do. I use them as guideposts. I try to stay pretty close with my calories or
What am I supposed to have?
We're going to start saying joules. It's JOUL.
155. Okay.
Because I think it's less.
So for me, I use the protein shakes to hit more of my protein because I can just down them really.
Scott likes baby bird food, easy to consume.
Yeah. There's a reason why you see meat mush is what I eat all the time because I just chop it up real easy and then consume it that way.
Mm-hmm. Where's the business center? Is there one in Linwood? Do you know, Scott? I would like to, Scott, go check that out one day when we go down there. The business center, they're supposed to have like really good meat deals. Like it's bulk buying more than what regular Costco has, but you can save supposedly a lot of money doing that.
I don't know. It's an idea.
This Scott's down in Seattle area.
Oh.
The chuck roast at Costco is much more than it is at my local store.
I know.
Lately, they have been actually quite a bit more pricey. Even the ribeyes and stuff.
Overall, the prices at Costco meat is just higher than just waiting for a deal. Like we got to get that done today. We got to chop up that.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because we got a rib. We just got a whole rib roast, $6.97 a pound at Safeway. It
was like $300 and some dollars.
$334. We got it for $114.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be like 15 meals out of it for the two of us.
Something
when
like
we actually
that.
start chopping it up. But I mean, that's just a huge deal for, at the grocery store versus Costco.
I don't have it on my phone. I have all the apps. You don't have them on your phone. I've got Safeway. I've got Hagen's. I have Whole Foods and I have Fred Meyer's all lined up in my phone, and I check them because their sales are restarted on.
I do too. I got Fred Meyer and I got Safeway.
Their sales.
A bunch of them because that's,
every Wednesday they restart. So on Wednesdays I look and see, is there something that we want?
It's a great thing to do, to shop every week, see what's on deal. If there's nothing on sale, don't worry about it. We got 40 pounds of flanken ribs. Like 8 months ago. That's what we had Sunday or Saturday.
Friday. We took them to
Friday.
We took in my sisters and we fed everybody with them because we had so much. So
we had so much. And we had
like
leftovers.
5 or 6 adults.
We had leftovers last night for me and her friend, and it was just, it was like $4.87 a pound is what it averaged out to when we got it.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
That's how we save money.
That's how you save money. It's like that's $5 a meal.
Scott's such a good fellow. He is. He's the best. My Gary's wonderfully supportive too. That's sweet. I'm very happy for you, Megan. I think I tell Scott this frequently. I wish people could find their person, because it makes life so much better. It's not that we don't argue or are perfect in any way, shape, or form, either of us, but having your person is just amazing.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, we are going to hop off here. I have no idea what we're doing today. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We will see you guys next Sunday. Have an amazing week and carnivore and keto on.
Bye-bye.
Bye.